we are learning Siman Reish Nun Gimel 253, and we're learning about Shehiya, the laws of leaving food on the fire from before Shabbos. And I was thinking to myself that sometimes we do chazar, like we review what we learned, and sometimes we don't. And since we learned yesterday the Machaber Shulchan Aruch, Shulchan Aruch Yosef Karo, instead of reviewing that, we will learn the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Alter Rebbe's Shulchan Aruch, and that will be our review of what we learned yesterday, plus whatever additions that he makes to whatever we learned. All right? And then when we get to the point that we were up to in the big Shulchan Aruch, we'll go back to it, and then we'll go back and forth. All right, so whoever has that Shulchan Aruch Harav, you have it there, I see. I'm sorry? No, I was online. Is it online, Phil?
5 minutes.
If you want a link to see it online, so I don't think the English one is online, but the Hebrew one is at chadbadlibrary.org, and you'll see on the Daf Bayit, you can just press on Sifrei Admor Zaken, press on Shulchan Aruch, press on Chelek Bet, and then Siman Reish Nun Gimel. Hilchos Shabbat, Siman Reish Nun Gimel.
Library.org.
Why do we start with Reish Nun Gimel instead of
Because we skip the easy stuff. We skip the easy stuff. This is the advanced class. All the easy stuff we leave for you to do on your own.
Where to go?
.org. I really get this page. I don't know why it's getting this page.
You send me Rabbi.
Let's try this one. Sfir Lubavitch. No, not that. Sorry, let's try that one.
Rabbi, you send my email or is it in Google?
Page cannot be found. Let's try this. /books. Oh, here we are. /books. Chabadlibrary.org/books. Sifrei Admor Zaken. And then Shulchan Aruch. Hilchos Shabbat.
No?
Siman Reish Nun Gimel.
Back.
Actually, no, I don't want that. I want the whole Siman. It's only giving me one sif at a time. I don't know why. Let's see if I can get to fix that. Okay, it's no problem. We'll just do it that way. It's just giving you one sif at a time. You have to click on each sif and then it'll pop up, okay?
Oh, okay. Rabbi, you email me? You email me that? Or?
Yeah. Here all day. You help him? Do you mind? Thank you. All right. So we are learning about Shehiya. Let's get straight into it because, like I said, this is going to be a review of what we said yesterday. Kira shiasuya ke'ein kedera gedola. A kira, which is made like a big pot, and they would fire it up inside on the bottom of it. On top of it. It is long and narrow, like a rectangle. Yesh b'lamayla makom esfisis beis kederis. It has on the top of it a place to put two pots. Imuska begefes shipsola shel zaysid. If it is heated with gefes, which is the stuff left over after you crush olives. And the Mishnah Berurah adds, for that matter, the stuff left over after you crush sesame. Thank you very much. Neither of which are very common in our kitchens. Nevertheless, oy be'etzim, or with wood, which includes, the Mishnah Berurah says, coals, or cattle dung, that's correct. Also, you're not allowed to put a dish on it to leave it there for the night or for the next day. And by the way, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Eric. Did we speak? I don't remember.
Huh?
Did we speak? Okay, very good. Welcome. So the point is that we're learning about this pot that is, it's actually a stove, resembles a pot. You put fuel on the bottom of it, and we're saying that you cannot put a cooked dish in it either for the night or for the next day. The reason that it says or for the next day, the reason it specifies that is because we mentioned yesterday that there is an opinion that says that if your intention is to eat it the next day, then you're allowed to leave it there, even without covering the heat, even if it's not half cooked, because by the time the next day comes around, it's going to be ready, no problem. Which is the same reason why we said you're allowed to put a raw dish on the fire, right? Or even a dish that just has one piece of raw meat, because anyway, you're not going to be able to use it till the next day. So therefore, you're not worried about it. So there is an opinion that says that even if it's not raw, as long as you plan to eat it for the next day, that's enough. However, that is not the main halacha, which is why the Alter Rebbe stresses whether it's for the night or for the day, you cannot leave it there. If when the nighttime comes, if it is not going to be cooked like the food of Ben Rusoi. Who was Ben Rusoi? Pirish Shem Adam Listim Shehiya Oichel Tafshel. After Adain in a special called Tzorke. This was the name of a robber who used to eat food even though it was not fully cooked because he was always in a rush to either escape or make it to his next robbery. What's the reason for this halacha? Shema yechata. Maybe he will stoke. Pirish Yanar v'yahapech hagacholim b'machta b'Shabbos. He will overturn the coals on Shabbos. You found it? Exactly. Chelik Beis.
So are we concerned with it being...
I hear somebody asking a question, but I'm not hearing it fully. What do you say? Question on the computer? Okay.
Are we concerned about it being cooked at the time of Danish mushes or at the time of eating?
Well, obviously the person is concerned that it should be cooked at the time of eating. And therefore, if it's not at least half cooked by the time Ben Hashmashas comes, he's going to be nervous that it might not be ready for the time of eating. And therefore, he might stoke the coals. That's the issue.
Okay, because it sounded more like we're concerned about it at the time of eating.
Well, he is concerned how it will be at the time of eating. And therefore, before the eating, we are concerned that he might stoke the coals. And so.
Oh, okay, so it's when Shabbos comes in.
When Shabbos comes in is when we decide whether it's allowed or not. That's correct. That is the key moment.
I thought so. Okay.
It's either 50% or completely wrong, Rabbi.
1 second. You're asking about the Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe online? Is that what you want? The text that we're learning online? I actually once did find that in English. But I must say that it was a very poor translation. But since you're asking, I will...
Oh, the one that I found for him? No, it's Hebrew.
No, there is one online also. Give me a second. me a second. I'm trying to see if I can find it online here. Shabbos 453 articles, but I don't know if this is translation or just articles. No, this is articles. It's not what I need. Okay, I once did come across a Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe online in English, but it was a very poor translation. Anyway, now I'm not finding it. Maybe it was taken down. I don't know.
I'm on the website. It says Hara.
Oh, and it has the Siman?
With English, yeah. I typed into Google.
Wow.
English translation.
Wow,
Did
that's
Google
great.
translate it?
Yeah, it's side by side.
Oh, you go.
Oh, you translated it with Google. Is that what you did?
No, it's side by side on the Chabad website.
Wow.
Where's that? Does it work?
So that's it. You can save money. You don't have to buy the book.
Just get a good printer.
You don't need a printer. You can save paper too. That's great. I'm looking for it now. Also Pesach. Also Shabbos. 245. View all 60.
jumping like
We are going to be jumping sections. We're doing 253 to 248, and then we're going to skip ahead to 318. Very good. Perfect. Chabad.org. I'll send out the link right now to whoever I sent the email to last night. I'll just forward it to them.
Yeah, I'm using that link as well.
Very good.
Oh, where's the best place in Yerushalayim to pick it up?
I'm sorry?
Where's the best place in Jerusalem to pick it up?
Pick up the Shulchan Aruch in English, the Alter Rebbe.
Maybe fell.
Yeah.
Probably Heichel Menachem.
Okay.
Heichel Menachem in Geula.
Yeah.
The stores have all the English.
And the Shulchan Aruch in English?
Feldheim, yeah, I think it's printed by Feldheim actually. But I think that they only sell a full set. If you want an individual, see online what you can come up with. Okay.
That you change the languages so they're not.
Okay. Okay, very good. That's very helpful. Thank you. In fact, I think I'm going to use it. All right. I just sent out the link. So if you have your phone or other portable device, you should have it, and you can use it there. All right.
So you have two choices, whether it's cooked half or completely raw.
Yeah, we didn't mention the raw yet, but that is correct. Raw, completely raw is also good. Yep. Half cooked, you mean? Half cooked?
Yeah, like blood.
No. Nothing to do with blood. Nothing to do with blood. We're not into blood. The answer is very simple. It's a good question, and it needs to be addressed. How do you determine if something is a third or a half cooked? The answer is time. We care about time. If it takes 3 hours to cook, a third cooked is 1 hour. Half cooked is an hour and a half. That's all it's time, because that's really what it is. You know, you have guests coming at a certain time. You want it to be ready.
Amount of heat.
We're talking about Shabbos, right? So the heat, hopefully you're not changing, right? You understand? The heat is whatever it is. That's the whole point. If you could change the heat, then we wouldn't be discussing this. So with this heat, how long is it going to take? If it is halfway there in terms of time, then it's Kamachal Ben Drusai. If it's a third, then some say it's Kamachal Ben Drusai. You understand? Half cooked? No, it's nothing to do with the thermometer. The thermometer is not going to help you, because it could be at the right temperature, but maybe it has to be at that temperature for a certain amount of time for it to cook. You understand? You make a soup. It's boiling, but it has to cook. You know what I'm saying? It has to.
Does that mean that if I make a roast that takes 6
Meat
hours,
is one of them. Whatever amount of time it takes to cook, half cooked is when it's been on the fire for half of that time. That's how we're defining it here.
Straight time.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm sorry? No, one second. In terms of the fire, actually, I'm just realizing before Shabbos you could have had it on a higher fire than you have it now, right? So if before Shabbos it was on a high fire, and with that flame it would take only an hour to cook, and you had it on for a half hour, then it's half cooked.
Okay.
That's all. Yes, Yossi?
so
Question?
if I have a roast that would take 6 hours to cook, and it's been in there for 4 hours, that is definitely not a problem, even if it's somewhat raw in the middle.
That's correct. That's correct.
I didn't realize that that's how we do it. Okay.
That is how we do it. Now, Daniel is asking a very good question. Daniel says he's a bit confused about the raw piece being raw on Bein Hashmashas. Wouldn't it already not be raw from the time of candlelighting until Shehiya? This is a very significant question, which we will address shortly. All right. In case you're wondering what we're doing with fall, we're learning the Shulchan Aruch Harav, and that is going to be our review of what we learned yesterday in the Big Shulchan Aruch. And when we get to where we were, we'll go back to the Big Shulchan Aruch. We'll go back and forth. Okay. So,
You're going to say it again.
welcome. So the point is, the issue is that he may stoke the coals, ligmar bishule, to finish the cooking. Elam ken akira he grufa dainu shegorman akol gecholim l'chutz shektuma dainu shekisa gecholim be'efel lamayit chuma. The only way to that you're allowed to keep this in the fire. Notice, by the way, that this is the opinion of the Ramah, based on the opinion of Rashi and Tosfos, and the minhag that the Rosh says, which is that we follow Hananiah's opinion, and that therefore, as long as it's half cooked, it's okay. But if not, then you cannot leave it there unless you remove the coals or cover them. Now, by the way, there is an argument in the Rishonim are the early commentaries on the Gemara. There is an argument in the Rishonim what it means that you removed the coals. Does it mean you literally took the coals out of the oven? Or does it mean, like the Ran says, that you put them on the side? Now, if we say like the Ran that you put them on the side, then we understand that in some cases that might not be enough. Like, for example, we're going to learn about the tanur, right? The tanur, even if you remove the coals, because it has such a high heat, you can't leave anything in it that you wouldn't be allowed to leave in a kira that was uncovered. You understand? So the covered coals or removed coals in the tanur, which is a hotter oven, is the same as uncovered coals in a kira in a regular oven. So, but the question is, if you remove the coals, what's the issue? There's nothing left to stoke. If you say like the Ran, who says that you put it on the side, then we understand you might put it on the side and bring it back in. But if you say like the other Rishonim, which is how the Mefarshim understand and how the Beis Yosef understands, so then what's the issue? There's nothing left. It's like you turn the oven off. There's nothing there. So the answer is, that
Doesn't make a difference.
no, and it's impossible to remove all the coals. Remember, we're not talking about like a flat, smooth surface. We're talking about in those days, it was probably an earth floor of the oven. So it probably had other ashes and coals and wood from previous things. So there's like little crevices and corners. So you think you removed all the coals, but there's always some little coal stuck on the bottom. And therefore, in some cases, like we said, you may still not be allowed to leave it there if it's a tanur, because there is still some coals even if you've removed them.
Rabbi, but if you cover it, it's okay.
Where? In which case?
The kira.
In the kira.
Yeah,
Kira.
A kira, not a tanur.
Not a time.
Not a tanur, as we're going to see. But in a kira, it is okay.
Cover with the dirt.
With afer, with ashes.
Ashes.
That's how they used to do it in those days. It's not necessary to cover it so that the fire is not recognized at all. it's enough to put on a thin layer. Somebody was asking yesterday about using foil to cover the heat source, whether it's a gas stove, electric stove, whatever. And we see from here that yes, that even a ketima kol shehu, even a small amount of covering is okay. Now, in terms of covering, I mentioned yesterday about an oven, what to do with an oven. And I said yesterday that if you're Sephardic, you have a problem because you can't really leave anything in an oven unless it's on the verge of burning, because you can't really cover the heat source because the heat is coming from all sides, unless you literally put a metal box in there. Otherwise, you have a problem because according to the Beis Yosef, according to the Machaber of the Shulchan Aruch, you cannot put anything in a place where the heat is uncovered unless it is fully cooked and already mitzdamek v'rale. It's shrinking and it's getting worse. So I did see other opinions. Rabbi Forkash brings down in the Shabbos Kahalacha. Most opinions say what I just said, that there's no way to leave it inside an oven unless you have that box to cover the flames on all sides. However, he does bring an opinion, and that is the opinion of Rav Vosner, so it's not a small opinion, Vosner of Bnei Brak, who says that it's enough to just put a cover on the bottom of it. Just put on one level. He considers that like what he talks about here, ketima kol shehu, a small covering. I mean, the question obviously is that here we're talking about a small covering over all the coals, a very thin layer over all the coals. We're not talking about a thick layer over half the coals. So it doesn't seem to be the same as an oven where the heat comes from all sides. So how are you going to cover all the sides? You're minimizing the heat only on one side. It's a question. But that is his opinion, so there is perhaps some room for leniency, at least according to him. Okay.
The box, the metal box.
Yep.
Is that a box that covers the heat source?
Yeah, the heat's it's between the food and the heat source. It's between the food and the heat source.
Is it enough to put just aluminum foil, or you need a large box?
I mean, if you could make a box out of foil, that's good too.
Is the issue with eating it for Sephardim?
Right, one second, Yassi. The question was, can you use a foil? Well, if it's enough to cover one side, then you could just use a foil, because you could just put a foil down or above it or whatever. If you say that you need to cover it on all four sides, it's not really so practical, but in theory it could be. I'm sorry, Yassi?
Is the issue eating it if it has been done, or is it doing this? So.
No. The issue is the doing. The issue is the doing. The eating is a secondary aspect of it. The fact that you're not allowed to eat it, which is correct, we're going to learn about that, is a punishment because you did the wrong thing if you did this. But that's, of course, secondary. The main thing is not to do it. You understand?
So if you have a Sephardi guest over, you don't need to accommodate their way of cooking it?
That is a very interesting question.
Repeat the question, please.
If you are having a Sephardic guest and you follow the Ramah, so you leave your stuff in the oven and you don't cover the oven.
Cover the dish.
I mean, you don't cover you don't make this box or whatever. So just regular oven. So according to the Machaber and the Rif and the Rambam and everybody else, you transgressed on the Isser of Shehiya. And the Machaber himself paskins that a person who transgresses on Shehiya is not allowed to eat the food.
But he didn't transgress. The host did the transgression.
The host did the transgression.
He didn't transgress it on his own.
I don't think this is a buyer.
The host did the transgression. So that's actually a machlekes too. It's a machlekes
I don't think
too.
it's a buyer, Rabbi.
That's a machlekes too. If you misha avar, a person who did transgress and he cooked, is it only asr for him, or is it asr for others as well? So really, what it says is that it's a machlekes if it's asr for others, but for his family members, which include his guests, the people that he was cooking for, that's for sure usher.
But he didn't transgress.
But there's no transgression going on.
According to him, he didn't transgress. According to him, he didn't
Happened to
transgress.
be that he had a guest.
According to him, he didn't transgress. According to the
We're not
Mechaber,
saying there's bishul occurring.
no, there's no bishul, but there's a iser midirabanan of Shehiya occurring. This is an iser midirabanan. It's not just a suggestion that the Chachamim made. It is an actual prohibition. So he transgressed on a rabbinic law, and the Chachamim punished him and said, we don't want you to benefit from that which you did in a forbidden way.
Well, benefit hana is also an aspect here. I mean, if he has guests over, that's a form of hana also.
The only thing is that if it was fully cooked before Shabbos, then it's okay. Because once it's fully cooked, even though it's mitztamek v'yafalai, that is not a significant hana. You understand? That the Mechaber himself says. Even a Sephardic Jew who himself cooks in this way, right, does a forbidden Shehiya, but it was already fully cooked, except that it was mitztamek v'yafalai, it was tasting better, like a chalent or anything like that. According to the Mechaber, who paskins like the Chachamim, not like Hananya, so unless it's fully cooked and starting to burn, shrinking in a way that it doesn't taste better, it tastes worse. Stomach virala. Unless it's stomach virala, you can't leave it on an open flame.
Or even though it's cooked already.
Even though it's cooked. It's only allowed if it's stomach virala, if it's tasting worse. So, exactly.
But Shehiya is only when it's not cooked.
Shehiya means leaving on a fire from before Shabbos. That's what it means. There's a forbidden Shehiya and there's a permissible Shehiya. So that's the question. Is it forbidden or permissible? But according to the Mechaber, it's permissible unless it's Masam Barale. But it's not forbidden b'di'evad unless it's actually not fully cooked. So the answer is, who asked the question? You asked the question? Yossi asked the question. The answer is, make sure to have it fully cooked before Shabbos. And then even the Mechaber will be happy. But if it wasn't, it's a serious shaila, and I'm not really sure of the answer.
So I asked a shaila about 2 months ago. I'd forgotten to use a blech. In fact, I'd left something on it was supposed to come off the fire, and I was supposed to put a blech on just to keep it warm. But instead, I'd completely forgotten about it, and it was overcooking itself into Shabbos.
Overcooking itself, everybody's happy with you. The Ramah is happy as long as it's half cooked, and the Mechaber is happy if it's overcooking, because it's Mistamach Virale, no problem. Yeah, in his case, it was overcooking, so it's no problem.
So I was told that there was no problem and I could serve it.
Oh yeah, that's another way. If you make it completely raw, it's another way. Yeah.
I've heard Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef say that a Sephardi can even ask the Ashkenazi to do such. For example, he gave an example in his yeshiva where there wasn't water in the cholent and it was burning on Shabbos, and he asked the Ashkenazi to come and put water from the hot boiling source.
Every one of these machlokasin are different. There are some times that we say that even though a certain opinion passes like a certain way lechatchila, like what you're saying, that the Beis Yosef holds you're not allowed to add water to a cholent, because once the water comes out of the pot that it's in, it cools down, and then you put it back in the first pot, it heats up. So that's one machlokes. You understand? There's sometimes we say a machlokes that even the opinion says not to do it is not going to say it's forbidden b'di'evad. But over here, the Mechaber clearly says, even though the Mechaber quotes both opinions, he quotes the second opinion too. But in the first opinion, he says, it's forbidden b'di'evad.
So according to the Ryan, as long as it's said.
He also gave the example of coffee. He said a Ashkenazi can ask a Sephardi to make coffee for him, since the Ashkenazim are machmir to first the water and then the coffee. He says that you can Turkish coffee. So he said you can ask a Sephardi, an Ashkenazi can ask a Sephardi to cook it, to do it, make his coffee. That would be bishul.
Yeah, I hear it. There's a lot to talk about. I have to get back to you. If it was not fully cooked or raw, I have to get back to you. The chances are that there is a heter, because as Rafal is saying, there are many cases when we say we don't, lachatchila we go a certain way, but b'diavad we're not strict. That's very often we have that in the machlokes, even an opinion that says to be strict will agree b'diavad, you can rely on the other opinion. So we'll have
You
to
have simchas.
get back to that.
You constantly have simchas where you'd have to be concerned about this on Shabbos.
Absolutely. Many simchas you'll come to, and they will have heated the food on Shabbos morning in a way that many poskim say is forbidden. But they follow the opinions that say it's permissible. And then you have the question, are you allowed to eat it or not? So these are serious questions.
I go to the shul every Shabbos.
And what do? They heat it up if it's mostly solid. Chabad shuls? They heat it up?
They double the aluminum pans.
But what do they heat?
They're saying
What
it's
do
not
they heat?
What they're doing is fish with juice.
Oh, fish with juice, but it's not yasad. It doesn't become yasad. Okay,
Yeah,
that's something else.
If you put your hand, sometimes, even though they're doubling the aluminum pan,
So you're the mashgiach. What's going on?
so I went to the rabbi. He said, "Listen, I don't ask about the kitchens. I just go ahead. How you can filter fish?" I said, well, come on, rabbi.
Well, so then it's on you. Who's he relying on? He's relying on you.
Jeff person is there per se.
Oh, you're not the mashgiach.
No.
I see.
If I was, he wouldn't go. No.
I see. Okay, now I understand. Okay, very good. David points out that there is a little picture in Chabad.org of this beautiful kira. There you have it. All right, you see it there? That's it.
Why does Mishnah Berurah say it's constructed in the shape of a kettle?
I don't think that's a good translation. I think it's more like a pot. When he says a pot, he means that there's room to put something in it, is what he means, like a rectangular type of pot.
A kettle is a very large pot. It used to be.
Oh, is that what it is?
Hmm.
Okay, I thought it was more like a
Kettle
water.
chip.
Rabbi, if it's not yet, so let us it's okay.
If it's not Yatzelet boy, it's okay, yeah. If it cannot reach Yatzelet boy. You understand? If it's on a heat that no matter how long you leave it there, it will not reach Yatzelet boy, then it's okay.
Yeah.
What is considered cooking? Shmuley is asking. Well, that's what we're learning about. I mean, cooking is in general, when you bring something to the heat of Yatzelet boy, too hot to touch, that is the beginning of cooking. And full cooking is when it's ready to eat, and halfway in between is Michael ben Drusai, as we're learning, or maybe a third. Okay, let's continue. Let's say the coals flared up again after you covered them. That's no problem. Here's a very important line, my friends. Once you removed your opinion, while it was still day, that you don't need those coals anymore, so you're no longer going to stoke them on Shabbos. Okay, listen very carefully.
It's all about the stoking.
Listen very carefully, and we're going to learn something that most people don't know. Most people, if you ask them, why do we put a blech to cover the fire on Shabbos? What do they answer? Anybody?
So it's not directly on the fire?
Why can't it be directly on the fire?
I
We're
always
not
thought
cooking.
that we wouldn't
Your
see
oven
the
is-
fire.
Your oven is allowed to cook. One second. Your oven. One second. We have to answer that. The oven is allowed to cook. The Jewish people cannot cook, but their ovens can cook. You might stoke it, is correct. And how does the piece of metal ensure that you won't stoke it?
It acts as a reminder.
It's not giving you access. All right, that's exactly what most people think. And that's why you came to this class, to learn otherwise.
You also move it to different areas, so different temperature.
First of all, you could move it, but here's the thing. Give you access. It's more than just a hecker. Here's what it is. Because if it's the fact that it doesn't give you access or even a hecker, so how could we say that if it flared up again, you covered it, right? Covered it, you did your best, and then it flared up again. Well, now it's a problem because now it's not covered. You have access, and you have no hecker. You have no hecker. 1 second, so what? It's a Keli's fault, but now it's still not Shabbos yet. You should have to cover it again or take it off. So here's the word. Here's the word. The Alter Rebbe says, what the accomplishment of covering the coals is that you are minimizing the heat and you are showing that you don't need this heat. I don't care about it so much. The pie will be ready, it won't be ready. I don't need this heat. I'm covering it. I don't care about it. I'm removing it. I'm covering it. Whatever happens, I don't care. That's the point. And that's why, my friends, if you cover the knobs of your stove and you don't cover the fire, the heat source, you have not accomplished anything. Even though you can argue, well, what's the point of covering the fire? I should cover the knobs. You can't adjust the fire by the fire. You have to adjust it by the knobs. So if it's about a hecker to remind you or something to block you, cover the knobs. Forget about the fire, right? That's not the halacha. You must absolutely cover the fire because the main thing is to minimize the fire and to show you don't need it so much. Now, Moshe Feinstein writes in the Tshuva, even though that's the main objective, it's a good thing to also cover the knobs because in the times of Chazal, the afer, the ashes, served like a double purpose. It covered the flame and it minimized the flame. And at the same time, it also perhaps acted as a hecker. It reminded you. So that's a fine thing. So why not go for it? Do both. And that's why you will find some blechs that have, a lip that goes over the edge. Nowadays you have knobs on the top, on the side, in the middle, who knows where. So it doesn't even help you. But you could cover them with a foil or whatever. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is to cover the heat. Okay, and now we come to a tremendous chiddush. I didn't put him down in the Achronim list. Yesterday we'll have a very important source of halacha and Hilchos Shabbos. Everybody, every major posek usually has their main thing, their main niche. Even though we said yesterday the Taz wrote in the whole Shulchan Aruch, and obviously the Shulchan Aruch wrote in the whole Shulchan Aruch. But I'm saying many poskim have their main thing. So Reb Shlomo Zalman is most known for his psukim in Hilchos Shabbos. And that started from a Talmud of his whose name was Reb Yaakov Neuwirth, the author of the Shmir Shabbos Gehilchosei, who in yeshiva didn't really fit into the yeshiva system. He wasn't so much into the Gemara learning, but he took a liking to halacha. And he was learning in Kol Torah and Shlomo Zalman's yeshiva. And he used to ask Shlomo Zalman all kinds of shilas in the Mishnah Berurah and in halacha. And eventually, he decided that he should work on Hilchos Shabbos, and he wrote a Sefer Shmir Shabbos Gehilchosei, and he got a lot of attention from Shlomo Zalman. Shlomo Zalman wrote a lot of ha'oras, a lot of notes on it. So the opinion of the Shmir Shabbos Gehilchosei is usually one and the same as the Shlomo Zalman's, even though it's not written by him, but it's written by his Talmud. But he put a lot of work into it. Anyway, Reb Shlomo Zalman has a tremendous chiddush. And Rav Neuwirth, by the way, became like one of the biggest poskim in Hilchos Shabbos also after Reb Shlomo Zalman passed away. So the point is that Reb Shlomo Zalman's chiddush is as follows. You have your chalent or your chicken soup or whatever it is, and you get it cooked to the point that it's supposed to be cooked. Everything is nice and fine. Plenty of time till Shabbos. You cover the blech. You put it on. And then just as you're on your way out the door to Mincha, your wife says, just check the flame. Make sure that it's the right temperature. And you look underneath the blech. I don't know how many people even have blechs nowadays. Raise your hand if you have a blech. 1, 2, not 3, not 4. Okay.
Yeah, I have a blech.
You use a blech. Okay, very good. So it's still relevant. A lot of people have a plata or, a crown. No, I'm talking about a metal piece that covers your stove.
The stove, no.
A metal piece that covers your stove. No one? That's it. You don't
Yeah,
use
I
it.
have one.
Same here. I have it in my garage. I take it out once a year.
Rabbi, but I'll give you one, never use it.
Never use it. Okay, so this is purely theoretical.
No, I use a sheet of metal.
You use a sheet of metal. Okay, somebody does. Okay, plata is different. So if you have an actual physical metal that covers your fire, when I grew up, that's what we had. Anyway, so then you have to like look underneath it, and you have to see the fire, and you have to adjust it. Get it just right. So Shlomo Zalman says, if after you covered it and you put the food there, you go back and you adjust the flame, and you make it even a little bit higher, so the whole blech is worthless. You just canceled out the blech, because the purpose of the blech is not to remind you, like we said, it's not to block the fire. It's to show that you don't care about the fire. More fire, less fire. So now, 1 second, now that you covered it, back and you changed it, well, you show that you do care about it. Obviously, you care about it.
It goes exactly along. So what the Sefer is saying right here, no?
Oh, you knew it already. Okay.
No, I'm saying it's going along the lines of what you're saying here.
Exactly, but it's
why is it Chiddush?
Okay,
Rabbi,
you figured it out.
He
You
wants-
figured it out. I didn't know it
It's more of a
before I read it.
Rabbi, let's say if I looked and I see it's not right, can I take everything out
Take everything off,
of?
change it and put it
Now
back. Say it again,
Shows that he does
but
want
not that you
he hired it.
change it while it's still there.
The whole Sefer is saying if he-
Because
he doesn't-
then you
he doesn't
cancel
want it.
out this Gilui Das. This idea that you don't need it anymore is not true.
Now he's coming and showing that he wants it.
Was it from the moment that the whole thing was set up with the food? Or
So-
as soon as
so-
you put the sheet
As
on?
soon as you put the sheet on. Yeah, as soon as you put the sheet on.
So-
There's no way to check that it's right. You have to do it before.
No, you check that it's right, you change it. You pick up the thing, you put it down again.
So Rabbi,
That's the only way.
you blame the wife then. You were in the mincha.
No. Doesn't usually help, but you can try. All right, we continue and say, "V'hagacholim she'amamu harein kiktuma." If the coals die down on their own, then it is like ketuma. It is the same as if you covered them. Meaning, if they die down and there is now like a layer of ashes over them, even though they're still alive underneath, that's good enough. Because the fact is, you left it that way. You didn't care to make it any higher, so it's the same.
You go on a bed now?
However, there is a chiddush in the Pri Megadim, and that is as follows. When it comes to kitma v'huvara, which is what we said before, if you covered it and then it flared up again on its own, that's good enough. You don't have to go back and cover it again because you already had the Gilui Das. You showed that you don't care about it. On its own, it got bigger. Okay, it's not your problem. However, if it was gecholim she'amamu, if it was coals that on their own died down and got this layer of ashes on them, and then they flared up again, well, that's a problem. Because you didn't have any Gilui Das, any active Gilui Das. On its own, it wasn't strong. Now it became strong again on its own. Okay, now you're back to a open flame. So there you would have to cover them. All right. Moving along to Siv Beis in the Shulchan Aruch Rav. V'im huska b'kash u'v'gvava mutar lahashoyse oleha av b'shen agurfa v'lektuma l'fi she'ein b'kach le'akash v'agvava mamash estal v'lochosh lem shem yichad. When it comes to a fire using straw or stubble, because these fuels die down very quickly, they have no substance at all, so therefore it's no problem to leave any food on it. You're not going to stoke those coals because there's nothing to them.
What is Gavava today? We have
I don't think we have that today. The heat sources that we have are all strong. There's no such thing as this.
It's this apply. So how do we apply it today? I mean, well, we don't apply it.
We learn it. It's chelik of limud haTorah. Va'afilu huska. We go to bed. Okay. Bed.
Thank you.
We just finished bed, by the way. Gimel. Va'afilu huska begefes ve'etzim. Even if it was heated with these stronger heat sources, right? The wood or the olive waste or whatever. It's permissible to put a pot next to it while it's still day. We'll see later about putting it next to it while it's Shabbos, but you're allowed to put a pot next to it while it's still day. We learned this yesterday. To leave it there for the night, or for the next day. Even though it's not going to be cooked, it's not half cooked when nighttime comes. We're not concerned that you're going to stoke the coals inside in order to hasten the cooking of the pot that's outside of it, because it's not going to be so effective. You're not going to stoke the coals in an oven for the pot that's sitting outside the oven. It's basically not going to accomplish anything. It's kind of like the kasha and the gavava, like the stubble and the straw. Such stoking is not going to be effective. Therefore, we're not concerned that you're going to do it.
How far does it have to be?
How far? We're talking about it's close enough to be yatzaledes, because if it wouldn't be yatzaledes, it wouldn't be even called shehiya.
According to B'sisif, it's not good. It's not fully cooked.
No, according to B'sisif, it's okay, because since it's outside of the oven,
okay.
it's
not on the
okay.
fire.
It's not on the fire.
So according to both.
According to both. If there are two kiros that are adjacent to one another, and there is a cheres wall, earthenware wall in between, one is covered or removed, the second one is not. You can leave it on top of the covered one, even though heat is being added from the other one. Because it is like putting it next to one that is not covered. So in other words, we don't, just like you're allowed to put outside of one completely, you can put on top of a second one that is covered. We don't say, well, it's on top of one, it's not covered, but it's on top of one that is covered, plus it's next to one that's not covered, so maybe together somehow there's a problem. No, just like a covered one on its own is okay, and close to one is close to another one that's uncovered is okay. So even when it's both of those factors together, it's still okay. Like we learned yesterday. The tanur, and a tanur, which is an oven of the Talmudic era, as you can see here in this wonderful drawing. Now we're at the top and wider at the bottom, and it therefore gets more heat. It's made like a large pot on the bottom, narrow on the top, and therefore it holds the heat better than a kira. Also, if you listen with you cannot even put something close to it if it's hot. Okay, this is an amazing thing. The tanur, no matter what you do to minimize the heat, it's always going to be a problem. That means you can use the least powerful fuel. You can even cover that fuel. You can even say, well, I'm going to put it outside of the tanur. Not even going to put it inside the tanur. No. In all of those cases, we say that this tanur keeps its heat so strong that we're always concerned that you're going to stoke. Because even the small amount of heat that is provided by the lesser fuels are significant in the tanur. And even something outside of the tanur could be heated to a good temperature by stoking the tanur.
Putting it very far, yes, so there's no problem.
Not yes, that is no problem. Yes.
So the lowest temperature in the tanur would be higher than a kira?
No, it's not about the temperature. It's about maintaining it. It's about maintaining it. Cooking is about maintaining the temperature. You understand? It's not about the actual temperature. How long is it going to keep it? The tanur is going to keep its temperature for much longer than the kira.
It's eventually going to.
Of course, eventually it's going to die down, but that's why you might stoke it to prolong it and make sure it doesn't die down. It's similar, by the way, to the whole concept of kli rishon and kli sheni, which we're going to learn about in Ritz Hashem. Kli rishon and kli sheni could be the exact same temperature, but kli rishon maintains the heat for longer because the walls are heated. They were on the fire. So kli sheni does not, so therefore it doesn't have the power to cook, besides exceptions. whatever, but it's about maintaining the heat.
So Rabbi, if you put before Shabbat and you're thinking for tomorrow is no problem. The food.
No.
Problem or no problem?
Problem.
Why is that?
What I was asking is, if you are making food for the night, and it's for the next day, which is which is the opinion of some of the Rishonim that Beis Yosef brings, but it's not the halacha. The halacha is that we're concerned that you might change your mind. Like sometimes in yeshiva, the bachram would break into the kitchen and would have the chalent on Friday night.
Friday never have chun on Friday.
Yeah, but that's because
Whatever
you
it
started
is.
it wrong.
Right? On Friday.
Why-
The point is that you might change your mind, and therefore we're concerned
How
that
do you
you
change
may.
your mind if it's wrong?
But it's wrong.
No, if it's raw, then it's okay. I'm not talking about if it's raw. I'm talking about if you, in your mind, decided you're eating for tomorrow, but it could be ready for tonight. You understand? That's what I'm
So
talking
that's half cooked.
about. Less than half cooked, yeah. Correct. Now, here's the question. Yeah?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to frozen food like schnitzel and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that's already been fried in the factory and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it still needs to be cooked for 10 minutes or something like that. What is that?
That is mestamik v'yafaloi. Mestamik v'yafaloi means it is fully cooked, but it's getting better. As you heat it up, it gets better.
It's not like considered raw.
Which is the same thing for that matter, like,
Isn't it stomach?
I'm sorry?
In this case, it's not its stomach.
Right, whatever, it's just an expression. Something that's fully cooked and it's getting better. That's the expression we use. A similar thing is, by the way, we're going to see about it later in 254, is edible raw. Right, you're making apple sauce.
So
Cooking apples. So even if it's as fully cooked, it's mesav yafaloi, you understand? So according to the Mechaber, it's still a problem, but according to the Ramah, it's no problem because it's edible as is.
So Rabbi, it's in other words, cook before Shabbat, everything for Shabbat, and it's done.
Is that what you're getting so far?
You cannot put anything for the next day because you may change
No,
your
the
mind.
raw, you can put it raw.
Only raw.
Only raw.
Only raw, that's it?
Or
half
frozen
cooked.
food.
No, if it's it's cooked beyond Ben Rosa.
Half cooked.
Then you're okay.
As far as you have a problem, no, Rabbi.
What about?
So one second, we have to clarify this point.
Make him chitza.
You're just saying
No
you just have to cook everything fully before Shabbos. That's the only eitzah.
Things we fill up, but not, that could be even better, like for example, potatoes.
But to be exclusive, it's not even enough.
It's another.
That's correct. Fully cooked is not going to help. If you want to follow the opinion of the Mechaber,
It's not like a verala.
it's not going to help. If it's fully cooked and it's getting better, it's still a problem. So what are you going to do?
It's really machmir.
That's why I'm here.
No, you're here. So what did you learn? What are you going to do? Anybody?
If you're Sephardi, depends, no?
What do you do?
It has to be stomach verala.
What if it's not? You want your
So,
chalent to
fully
cook to
raw.
taste better.
Completely raw.
That's it.
You like
If you're
the one
Sephardic,
I
you
got?
have to have your chalent. Half cooked is not going to help. Just said.
You have to let it get
Fully
worse.
cooked is not going to help.
Order
What if you don't want it to get worse? You want it to get better.
You just use a blech.
Thank you very much. You just use the blech. Very
Well, this was
simple.
an open flame, right?
Exactly. If you
What?
just cover the flame or use a plata,
Yeah.
you're good. There's no problem.
That's where we're getting very confused because of the fire.
All of this issue is only one
How do you
second.
know
One
what's
second.
going
One
over
second.
there?
1 second. All of it. 1 second. I want to clarify so you understand. I want to clarify so you understand.
You dream.
It's my turn.
Okay.
So you understand. All of this issue that we learn, raw, less than half cooked, fully cooked, metstamek v'yafa, metstamek v'ra, all of those are only with an open flame. If the flame is covered, either because you have a metal or because you have a plata, which is a one temperature, so you can't change the flame, there is no issue.
You know that.
There's no issue because you're not going to change the flame. So what the difference does it make if it's half or full or better or worse? Makes no difference.
You cannot mix, Rabbi?
Mixing is something else,
Ah.
one thing at a time.
You can.
That's it. That's what you do. You have a blech or a plata.
So it doesn't matter how much you cook then. A third cooked, half cooked, 3/4 cooked. Doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so now the question is there a point to cook the cholent or whatever it is before Shabbos? Or do we say, well, anyway, you're going to cover it, you're going to have it on a plata, whatever it is. So what do I care if it's half cooked?
Is a crock pot considered a plata?
A crock pot that has one temperature is like a plata. A crock pot that has two temperatures or more is not like a plata.
What if you take the button out?
If you take the button out, maybe. Take the button out, maybe. But better to just cover, put like a foil inside.
Rabbi, it's
Well, where?
Around the inside. We'll learn about it later because crock pots have other issues of hatmana, maybe.
And what about hot water urns that have multiple settings?
that's what I have. Rabbi,
Too many voices. One second, Yossi, Rafal first, and then Yossi, go ahead.
I just put this now.
Yep.
See the electric oven. תנור חשמלי הפועל על ידי תרמוסטט.
Yep.
יש הנוהגים להקל גם בזה. He was talking about Shabbos before. להשרצו בתוכו מערב שבת תבשיל שיבשל כל צורכו, אפילו אם נסתמק ואפילו.
Because?
ופותחים התנור בשבת כדי להוציא את התבשיל מתוכו, מעיקר הדין יש להקל בזה.
Why?
That's probably what we have to figure out.
Okay. B'ezrat Hashem. Go ahead, Yossi. What were you going to say?
This is against mine.
Sorry. And what about hot water urns that have multiple settings?
Hot water urns that have multiple settings. Hot water urns are mitzvahically viraloi. So if you are Sephardic, you just make sure it boils before Shabbos. If you're Ashkenazic, you make sure it's half cooked before Shabbos. That means if it takes 20 minutes to come to the boil, you put it in at least 10 minutes before.
Okay.
Sorry?
Mine only has an on-off switch. What's the difference?
Yeah, then it makes no difference.
Why viralo, Rabbi? They like it hot.
Viraloi, it evaporates. It doesn't get better. The only thing that happens is that it gets less. Understand? That's called viraloi.
so I have the pot, and inside the pot, with the pot, the timer, it's a low and high.
So?
You make one of them and that's it?
No, you have to cover it. If you want to follow the Machara's opinion, you have to put a little foil around in the bottom.
So you will not touch it.
So that's like covering the flame.
Okay, what about the question, this after we study about that, if you open it and you want to mix
We'll get to it,
mix
we'll get to it. So let me ask you all, if you do cover it, or you have a plata, is there any point in cooking it before Shabbos?
Yes.
Let's say fully cooking it before Shabbos.
Nope.
Your cholent,
Why would it fully cook? Cholent doesn't fully cook before Shabbos.
well, it's fully cooked. I mean, it tastes better. It tastes better.
12 hours.
Tastes better. Yossi, what do you say?
You mean as opposed to being half cooked?
Exactly.
Um,
Or even less than that. It doesn't make a difference at all. Does it even make a difference? Sorry?
Both like a kira or a
Very
tanner?
good. Very good. I'm sorry?
Are stoves more like a tanner? Maybe that would be.
Our stoves are not like a tanner. Even our tanurim are not like a tanner. The door is on the side and allows the heat to escape. So basically, it all has a bit of a kira. Sorry? I understand.
I used to
I
have
understand what we call a tanner is not what they call the tanner, and there it has a bit of a kira.
the heat is going around, it's for Shabbat, how you call that? The time today, the Shabbat,
Shabbos mode?
I think so.
We'll discuss that. We'll discuss that later. Okay, so I want to explain a
That's your
minhag.
question. What was the answer? So-
I want to explain a minhag that many women have, and that is that they do make sure their cholents are cooked to the point of, whatever is considered cooked before Shabbos. And this is a minhag that I struggled to understand. What is the point of doing that if they all have a blech or a plata, whatever it is? What is the point
No, I'm talking about halacha.
of making sure that the cholent is fully cooked before Shabbos? Many women have that chumrah. Chumrah, once anyway, it's going to be cooked.
Otherwise,
So the answer is,
That's how they used to do when they went to the bakery.
very good. That's what
But
Shmuel
is
was
that-
saying.
it's
So
also
the answer is, this is the only answer that I was able to find, that is as follows. If it is not fully cooked, and you move it even a little bit closer to the flame, chas v'shalom on Shabbos, that is a Torah violation. Very serious thing.
On the
So,
blech. This is
on the
you
blech,
fire.
on the plata, whatever it is, the plata also has different parts of it that are hotter and less hot. So you have your Friday night stuff, you have your Shabbos day stuff, you're busy, your pots and the side dishes and the main dishes, and you move things around. It's not uncommon. So if it's not fully cooked, you may move it around in a forbidden way.
What about Haggas also?
That's another issue. That's also an issue. But that's even if it's fully cooked, you can't do Haggas.
Edible or fully to the point where you want it?
It's a very subjective.
Fully cooked is subjective, but it doesn't mean edible, because even half cooked is considered edible, right?
I'm saying you're edible. You would for sure.
Fully
agree with
cooked,
this.
the only definition that I have of fully cooked is what people consider fully cooked. It is subjective, but it's what people consider. You understand? When they ask you, do you want your steak rare or well done? It's well done. Rare is, maybe that's what you like. Okay. Fully cooked is what people call well done.
I mean, something can be fully cooked, but not to. You'd rather it. You'd prefer it as much.
Preferred is Mistama v'yafalai. That's okay. Mistama v'yafalai is a fact. It exists, right? Many things are like that, but it's still fully cooked.
That's again, it's a big problem. Many people move to Pata, right?
Exactly.
I would actually disagree with you on saying that rare is not fully cooked and well done is fully cooked. With meat specifically, you can tell that meat is raw and that meat is not raw. And once it's not raw, I'd say not raw is fully cooked. And then after that, because it's then cooked. What you're calling fully cooked is where you're making it worse and progressively worse. Just because Donald Trump
Well, it depends how you like it. Depends how you like it. Some people like it that way.
Yes, people might like it that way, but the fact is, it's changed. It's being cooked. You can see meat that's raw and meat that's no longer raw. Meat,
But you can also see
raw is
that's
cooked.
rare and that's well done. Okay. That's me. I am wrong. Number 5 in Alter Rebbe Velama Asur Besaner Hagorov Bebneisha Hagorov and Hagorov Felarev Eish Va'atzma V'Yev Shaligrov Kol Eish Ad Shalish Sishar Nitzis Echad Bebneisha Lecham B'Yos Yishlach Hashem Yechat El Haver and Tzos El Shars Betan. For those of you that are following the English, here goes. Why did the sages forbid leaving food on an oven from which the glowing coals were removed? They removed the majority of the more intense sources of fire. It is, however, impossible to remove all the sources of fire so that not even one spark remains. Since everything else is extremely hot, there is reason for concern that a person will stir the glowing coals to cause the remaining sparks to flare. This is what I was saying before. Even after the Eish is goruf, even after you remove the coals, there are some little coals there, and if it's in a tanur, it's still a problem. Again, if it's not half cooked or whatever the opinions are, because you could still adjust that heat. If it has cooled down to the extent that it's not yatzeletus, you could leave it in there. Certainly, you can put it on top of or outside of it. If it's not yatzeletus in the place that you're putting it, yatzeletus again is if it's too hot to touch. You're allowed to even put it there on Shabbos. If it's less than Yatzel Lettuce Boy. This is a very practical thing. You have oven, let's say, right? And the oven is on, and you want to heat up your challah. You took the challah out of the freezer. You want to defrost it for Shabbos day. So you want it a little bit hot. So you put it near the oven. As long as it's not in a place where it could get to Yatzel Lettuce Boy, it's okay. Even though there's nothing covered, right? It's not covered per se. It's okay. It doesn't have to be covered because it's not in a place that's Yatzel Lettuce Boy. So it doesn't fall into the category of Shehiya or Chazar or anything. Less than Yatzel Lettuce Boy is simply just not. It's not in any of these categories.
So you put enough layers on the plata, whatever it is. It's definitely not going to get Yatzel Lettuce Boy to the fish and the sauce and everything else that I'm going to put on right now.
That's no problem.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Wow, so I can get up Shabbos and layer it up.
Yeah.
And put.
But you cannot do it on Shabbat.
I'm just
on Shabbos.
You want to put aluminum layer on Shabbat?
Yeah.
I'm just
You can't cut
They're
it.
going to rip off the aluminum.
You can't cut it, but if you have an aluminum pan, turn it upside down. You take 2 or 3 of them.
Considering chilling it
No
off,
problem.
but just
Why
to
not?
get the cool off of it, to get the cool out, to get it chilled out, get it chill off.
Yeah.
And then the
It has to be in a place that it will never reach Yatzel Lettuce no matter how long you leave it.
I'll take it back. That's what they did in the shul,
Yeah.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
Rabbi, that's what they did in the shul. He put enough aluminum pans over there. They claimed it's not.
Yeah.
Rabbi, when I work in the kitchen now, and the guy opened up the oven, I'm talking about regular day. He opened up the oven.
Yeah.
I already turned the oven on. Now, our convection ovens nowadays.
Don't work before Shabbos. Before Shabbos?
Talking about
During the week.
Sunday. They don't work on pilots anymore. They're automatic pilots. In other words,
Okay.
when you close the door, the pilot goes on by itself, ignites by itself. It's electrical pilot.
Okay.
When you open the door, the pilot goes out completely.
Okay.
The second you open the door.
Okay.
So now I have a problem.
With Pas Yisrael.
Not just pass, but visual.
Visual. Yeah, okay.
So now when I feel the door is not Yatzel Lettuce Boy, and he opened the door, he's trying to shove in trays of food. It's taking time. There's a lot of grates, a lot of shelves in the oven itself until he actually puts number 10 shaving dish into the stove.
Yeah.
The walls are going to cool off. I have to close the oven again.
This is gas or electric?
For sure.
All the pilots now work electrically. Nowadays, I mean.
Nothing to do with Yatzel Lettuce Boy.
Is it gas or electric?
Nothing to do with Yatzel Lettuce Boy. If the food is not yet Kamachal Ben Rasoi, you have to close the oven door. Because otherwise, he is the one that's cooking it.
If it was Kamachal on the side, because a lot of the food comes like 1/3 cooked. If he closed with the Evid, I mean, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already cooked.
For Ashkenazim. Sfardim hold that you should bring it all the way till it's fully
You
cooked.
can't use a gas oven on Shabbos.
We're talking about regular.
So like Bishul Akum, cooking the Gentile.
You cannot leave any fire inside.
Yeah.
To stay all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Where?
sure.
Where do you have
No,
those
it's not
ovens?
Chanay Nechama, it's different.
Where do you have those ovens today? You don't have
It's different.
Build something.
It's a different machlokes, but I'm pretty sure that the Machaber also holds by Bishul Akum that even after Machal Ben Rasoi, it has to be done by a Jew. I'm pretty sure. Separate machlokes, not the same. Okay, we continue and we say, no, we're at the parentheses at the end of Hay. I will say that Ramam Shebesach Akira also litin sham b'Shabbos. Afil tafshe shebishal kol tzorkei af b'shem grufim b'ktumim v'gam in hayad seleres b'hem klal kamoi sheyizbor. This is a very interesting chiddush. You cannot put something in a tanor or in a kira, even if it's less than Yatzel Lettuce Boy on Shabbos, because that is an issue of nira kamavashal. It looks like cooking.
So you change everything about
It
the
looks like
aluminum foil, Rabbi.
Now I'm talking about inside. Open the door and put it in.
How does that apply to that? Any fire you'll do, you have a little bit of fire.
No. That doesn't apply if it's on. It applies if it's off. You're not using your oven. You turned it off already. It's still a little bit hot. You want to put in your challah for Friday night. By Shabbos day, the oven's going to be cold. But Friday night, you want to put it in. It's less than yatzaletis, but you want to just defrost it. You can't put it in. Now, if there's no heat in it whatsoever, that's the same as a non-oven. You understand? It makes no difference. But if it has heat less than yatzaletis, boy, according to the Alter Rebbe, you cannot put it into the oven.
How could you then layer plata up? How's that different from this?
Because into an oven looks more like cooking than on top of an oven. We'll learn about that later. Inside is worse than on top of. Now, this is a chiddush. Not everybody agrees with this. The Mishnah Berurah holds you can even put into an oven less than yatzaletis. Just something to know.
Dharma.
The Alter Rebbe, if you follow the Alter Rebbe, then you don't put in. If you follow the Mishnah Berurah, then it's okay.
So yatzaletis bar. Alter Rebbe says even if it's off, you can't even put it in?
You can't put it inside.
Now, any temperature whatsoever.
No. If it's less than yatzaletis. Zero temperature is okay. Mishnah Berurah says you could put it in if it's less than yatzaletis. Alter Rebbe says you can't put it in.
Even below yatzaletis?
Even below yatzaletis, correct. If it has some heat.
What if you leave the door open?
Why would that help? Not sure.
Yeah, but that's amazing.
I don't know.
A lot of people do
I don't know. Do what?
Live very little heat left. Stick something in
Where did you get that from?
Get the
On
chill.
Shabbos?
Everything's off. It's definitely not yatzaletis. They're just putting it in just to get chilled up.
I never saw it, but
I mean, the oven was on before, and now everything's off. You only have your plata and
all right. So according to Chabad, you can't do it.
that's it.
You can't do it. Put it in an
The
oven.
oven's off. It's like you're covering the flame.
Doesn't make a difference. You can't put it in a covered oven either on Shabbos.
Because it's inside.
But
Talking about putting it on Shabbos, not
there's no
before
issue.
Shabbos.
It's already cooked.
It looks like cooking.
Tochataner. It's as if.
It's like Marasayan, yeah.
That's for the Marasayan. On top.
Yeah. Okay, and now we come to the kupach. The kupach shu asik kira ela she'en ba lamayla rak mokem sfisas kedera achas. A kupach.
Yeah, picture doesn't matter.
No picture. There's no picture of this one for some reason. It is like a kira. Yeah, you have a picture? Shkoyach. So kupach is it's the same as a kira except that it's square instead of a triangle.
In the top more.
No, it's the same.
Same as a kir except for it's one.
Except for it's a square instead of a rectangle. It has room for one pot instead of two.
So just how to monitor the heat, right? Just how.
What's the same as what?
The kupach is the same as the kira, except that the kira is rectangular and it has room for two pots, and the kira is a square and it has room for one pot.
What if it was designed specifically not to cook?
Well, then what was it designed for?
No, it's like you set the temperature, but it's less than the yatzaletis, and you put in the food and you take it out. In Israel, when I worked in the kitchen, we had like many racks, and it always stayed on a one temperature. We never adjusted it or anything. We opened the door, put the food in, closed the door. This is up for it.
It was designed so that it's never yatzaletis. Is that what you're saying?
You set the temperature before Shabbos, whatever you
Set the
do.
temperature lettuce. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but we never adjusted the temperature. We just
Talk about inside the tunnel. Talk about inside the tunnel.
There's a stove.
had the ability to go up to like 5.
And during the week was used like a regular oven?
No, we didn't use it during the week. We used it only in Shabbos. Or Yom Tov. It looked like a cabinet. It didn't look like, oven you pull down or anything like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I presume if the Rosh Hashivas knew about it, they had a heter for it. But I don't know. If it could, nevertheless, put into an oven on Shabbos.
It was a warmer. We use it as a warmer.
You're using it as a warmer. If you told me that it could only be a warmer then I could understand maybe it doesn't look like cooking because you cannot cook there. But if you could cook there and you're choosing to use it
If
as a
you
warm,
adjusted the
It's like,
temperature,
it's
like
like the
enough.
thing
I
with
understand.
the pizza places, how warmer has one setting. they cook
If it would
pizza,
have
they
one
put-
setting.
they put
Yeah, but it doesn't have
in,
one
it's
setting.
Okay,
amazing.
if it would have one setting, I could understand that.
No, this thing.
I could understand that argument. But if it has settings, if it has enough temperature to cook if you want to, then
It's no matter sign,
Not
because everyone knows that everybody wants
nah, that's too
Yeah.
that's too subjective.
Right.
No marsan has to be, it's a type of thing that is always used, not is never used for cooking. Just because you cooking or all the people in your yeshiva
Yeah, because we didn't use it.
that's
for
not, I understand, but that's not what everybody uses it for. It's not, we don't usually make specific exceptions. I don't know. I'm sorry? On this one? I don't know.
So if you go according to the Mishnah, then they're fine.
Shabura, no? It's Friday? No.
It's not off.
In the Chaber.
This is talking about this.
Oh, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
The Rabbi was saying that.
I just realized, yeah. Oh, it was less than Yad Saletas Boy at
Yeah,
that time.
yeah.
I just realized that. Yeah, that's like the Mishnah Berurah's Psak.
Even if the toner is
You're
on.
allowed to.
Yeah, even if it's on.
It maintains the low temperature.
Even if it's on, but the only thing is it's not Gufa Uktuma. That's the only issue. Now, you see, there's two issues with putting into an oven that's less than Yad Saletas Boy. You have the issue of, does it look like cooking? That's machlokes. But then you have the issue of Gufa Uktuma. If there's a heat source, maybe you'll elevate the heat source. So if it's covered, you're not going to.
We didn't cover the
But if it's not covered, then what's to stop you from elevating it? Not because of Marasai, but because of you yourself.
So then the covering is like a heifer at that point.
I don't know. We'll have to get back to you
I
on
mean,
that
the
one.
whole thing is that, like, it's just like if I was like with a chef, this is the specific job of the person. It's not just an ordinary person. You wouldn't do those things.
No, we don't make individual exceptions. That's a rule in halacha. The halacha is written for everybody the same. There's no individual shulchan aruch for everybody, because then halacha becomes completely subjective.
Chef was a goal, that's right. It looked like something like this, right?
I know what you mean. They have them in a lot of the catering places. Yeah.
It's a Hilchos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just 1 second. In fact, those are, like you said, the toner. Catering's all using.
Okay, I have to look into this more about the question of less than Yad Saletas Boy when the fire is not Gufa Uktuma. I see the Alter Rebbe holds it's a problem, but I don't know what the Mishnah Berurah holds about that. Maybe there is a heter. We have to get back to
What
it.
did you show you? The picture showed you that those are heat boxes used all caterers all over to keep something hot for Friday night and for Shabbos as well
So therefore what?
during the day.
Jews put back into there or going back into there?
They were plugged into the wall.
I understand, but they put food into it
Who did?
in the morning, Shabbos morning. or the food is just kept there before Shabbos?
No, Shabbos morning you cannot, right?
Okay, so
No, but I'm saying from Friday, before Shabbos, to leave it in. That's considered Tarchatanu?
But that's what I'm
what's the
talking
problem?
about.
Tarchatana you're allowed if it's half cooked before, fully cooked for sure. No problem.
We
Yeah.
never
So why
added.
don't we just say it's not Tarchatanu?
I never added food to it or anything. This was a food, so when Shabbos came in, it was good to go.
What? I thought you were talking about putting it in on Shabbos.
No, I never said that.
I'm saying Tarchatanu. So what is the problem with Tarchatanu?
What a letdown! I was so excited. You had a case to discuss. From before Shabbos, what's the problem?
You said before.
What's the issue?
You said that if it was off, that was the whole thing.
So you're not allowed to.
That's how we started the discussion.
So in Parat Yosef, you are obviously following the opinion of the Mechaber that you're not allowed to do something that's stomachly yafaloi, right? Unless the heat source is covered. Over here, the heat source is not covered. But if it's less than Yatzeletas boy, that's not considered Shehiya. That's okay. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I like the question that I thought you were asking anyway, and we'll get back to it. As far as leaving in a tanur, one second, I want to clarify this. As far as leaving in a tanur is half cooked, according to the Ramah, or if it's fully cooked in the stomach rally, according to the Mechaber, you can leave in a tanur. The only problem with a tanur is that no matter what you do, there's going to be a lot of heat. So as long as you care for the heat, as long as you need the heat, we're always concerned that you're going to stoke it. So even if you took the coals out, you covered them, it's less fuel, it's outside. We're always concerned. But if it's already cooked, or at least half cooked, which is good enough, then you don't care to change the heat. You understand?
We don't have that.
Unless you're subverting.
It's now.
That's another point. That's also true. The tanur of today has a din of a kupach, is practically not. It's the same as a kira. Yes.
If you're saying it's okay if they put it before Shabbos, what's the idea? The idea of Maritime is when they open and close it during Shabbat and put it in.
No, the Maritime is to put it in, not to
put it in.
Yeah.
And not the fact that it's in.
Yeah, correct. The fact that it's in, everybody sees that it's already in. That's no problem. Okay. The kupach shu asu kikira. I don't know if we should do this switch back and forth because this is pretty much where we were up to in the Mechaber Shulchan Aruch yesterday. Let's continue here. We'll go back to the Mechaber next time. A kupach which is like a kira, except that it only has room for one pot on the top. And for this reason, it has more heat than a kira, but it's less than the heat of a tanur. If it's heated with straw or stubble, it's like a kira. If it's heated with wood or olive waste, then it's like a tanur for everything. Okay, this is a little bit complicated. We don't really have kupachs today, so I'll just say it very briefly again. This kupach has room for one pot, so therefore, because it's small, it retains its heat better, but it's not narrow on the top, so it's not as strong as a tanur. So therefore, it depends what fuel you use for it. If you use a fuel that dies out quickly, like straw and stubble, then it has the same din as a kira, and therefore the heat is not considered important. You can leave anything you want in there. If it has a strong heat, like the wood or the olive waste, then it is like a tanur. And even if you cover that, it's not going to be good enough to leave in food that you can't leave in a tanur, which is basically less than half cooked, or as long as it's tasting better for the machal. Tanurim shalanu. What about our ovens? That have an opening on the side. Ein hevla maruba. Cham kokach kevel hatana shebimei. They're not as hot as the tanurim of those days. Like hevla kupach, nor even like the kupach of those days. Because they have more room for more than one pot. Therefore, they have the same din as a kira for all matters. Our ovens are like a kira. So our ovens, even today, correct. Why not a kupach? Because they are bigger, so they don't retain the heat as much. Now, if the only case that I know of a tanner having a din of a tanner, of an oven having a din of a tanner of those days, the Mishnah Berurah brings, if it's a tanner shel nachtoimim. If you have a baker's oven today, so because they are heated up to very high temperatures, they have the din of a tanner, and covering the heat source would not help in a baker's oven of today. Pizza oven, exactly. Or an actual bakery, they have where they bake, bread or whatever, at very hot temperatures. There you would have this halach.
What is he implying over here? What's he giving us? In other words, what's he mechadish over here?
The tanur is like a kira. What's the problem? Our tanurim are like a kira. As long as you cover them, as long as you cover the heat inside them, it's okay.
Okay, it's not like a tanur where it doesn't help even if you cover it.
Exactly. Listen very carefully, my friends. Everything we've been learning about until now is only if it is partially cooked. If, however, it is completely raw, you can leave it even in a tanur that has an uncovered flame. The worst possible combination that we've learned about until now is okay if it's raw. And the reason for this is that you're not going to have it ready for the Friday night meal anyway, even if you would stoke it. And therefore, you're Masiyat Daita, you don't think about it. And for tomorrow, it'll be ready regardless of what you do. So therefore, there's nothing to worry about. Exactly. If you put it in raw.
Why are we under the impression that food takes so long to cook?
I know. I thought you might ask that question, or somebody. That is a very valid point. And it seems like they had, equipment that is not the same as what we have today. And it took them a long time to cook their meat, specifically their meat, not their vegetables, as we're going to see soon. So for them, it was basically impossible for this to get ready for the time of the Friday night meal. The Mishnah Berurah says that when we talk about it being ready at night, we don't mean the halachic definition of night, like 4:49 a.m. is still night. We mean the time that people eat their Friday night meal. So to serve the food, or even, the latest, a guy who goes to a tish, who goes to learn, and then he comes, whatever, the latest it is, I don't know, 12 p.m., a.m., whatever it is, that's it. If it's going to be ready after that, we're not worried. So here's the thing. Nowadays, we have ovens that can go up to very high temperatures, or stovetops that we can turn up. And therefore, it's very hard to imagine a piece of meat that will not be ready by that time.
So why isn't it considered like a tunnel?
That is what Rabbi Farkash says, and he has a good point. He says, it's actually, I think it's based on Mishlam Zalman, if I'm not mistaken, Farkash, that if on the heat source that it is on presently, you could change it to a heat that will get it ready for Friday night, then it's a problem. Then it doesn't help that it's hot, that it's raw, excuse me.
What we just explained before, if it's raw, putting it in the oven, it doesn't apply to our oven.
Does not apply to our ovens if, with the highest heat in that oven, it could get ready for the Friday night meal.
Sure.
Which it's hard to imagine, unless you have like literally a huge piece of meat, which just takes time for the heat to get in. But if it's not like a very big piece of meat, it's hard to imagine this being practical halacha. Even though, interestingly enough, the Magen Avraham recommends this on a regular basis. The Magen Avraham says that in order to fulfill the opinion of the Mechaber, he recommends that everybody puts in a raw piece of meat into their chalents, because that way even the Mechaber will be happy, right? If you do the half-cooked thing, the Ramah will be happy. But if you put in something raw, even the Mechaber will be happy. And he recommends that. Because if you remember, the Rosh, the halacha for Ashkenazim, doesn't give a clear psak that you can be megal. He says, the people are lenient, And then he says a very interesting line. I didn't quote it yesterday. He says, since the people are very they're very wanting to fulfill the mitzvah of Oneg Shabbos, so we can't stop them. So it sounds like he's not so sure about it, but we can't stop them, so let them continue. So therefore, the Magen Avraham says that it's a good thing for Ashkenazim to be strict. And how does he recommend you be strict? Put in a raw piece, and then you're okay according to everybody. It comes out that for us, it's not going to be so practical. No Esradas, correct.
So does that answer Daniel's question?
No, that's another question, which I'm going to get to soon. Let me finish the sif, and then I'll get to Daniel's question, which he asked. In many cases. Nevertheless, you have to put it close to actual dark. If you put it there while it was still day, it's going to be cooked before Shabbos comes in. And you'll have to remove it when it gets dark. Unless it got to the point of Machal ben Nusoi, half or a third cooked before Shabbos. Then you won't have to worry about Chita for the Ramah. Like we said, because it'll cook anyway for the nighttime. Since it's already cooked half. And it is already fit while it's still day. Now, the Rebbe just gave us two reasons why Machal ben Nusoi works. Listen carefully to those two reasons. First of all, it's already half cooked. And second of all, it's already edible if you would greatly need it. You understand? Two reasons. Listen to the reasons carefully. It's already half cooked, so therefore it's probably going to be ready anyway for the guests. And even besides that, it's already edible. So therefore, you're not so nervous, because even if the guests come, you could serve it to them and you could get by. The Ketzois HaShulchan, Avraham Chaim Nah, gives an example of a case where only one of these reasons will apply, not both. For example, he says, water. Nobody drinks half-heated water, right? Because when you start to heat the water, it increases the bacteria until it boils. Right? I don't know if it actually has to boil. It has to reach a certain temperature to kill the bacteria. Anybody know?
Yes.
Is it actually 212? I thought it was less than that. I thought it was 190 or something.
They say 212.
Whatever it is. Whatever temperature it is until you kill the bacteria. Nobody drinks it less than that. So his question is, what if you bring the water to the halfway point before Shabbos? It's not edible. But on the other hand, it's halfway. So his conclusion is that each of these reasons stands alone. That means if it would be edible, even less than a half cooked, that's a reason on its own. You're not so nervous, it's already edible. And the other reason is also a reason on its own. If it's halfway there, even if it's not edible, it's already halfway there. You're not so nervous about it. By the time they come, it'll be fully there. So that's an interesting nafkamina, different, interesting practical application of these two reasons.
So, a liquid putting it on fire on Erev Shabbat, if it's not cooked whatsoever, is left raw?
No. No. Only the heter for raw is only meat, because it takes a long time to cook. No, he was talking about half cooked before Shabbos, which is good according to the Ramah. But one of the ideas of half cooked is that you could eat it as is. You don't drink half cooked water. You understand? So maybe it's no good. People don't drink water that's halfway heated.
That's not what people do, or because the Gemara says
No, because I think the Gemara also says it. The Gemara also says it, but also because people don't do it. So the whole point is you're not nervous because it's already edible. It's not edible. Nobody drinks it like that.
So if you were to put now in the water right before Shabbos.
Right before is no good. Unless it only has one temperature.
Yeah.
Unless it only has one temperature. If it has different settings, you have to either make it boil, better to boil before
It only
Shabbos.
has one temperature. It has cooked. That's it.
That's it, on and off.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have settings.
No
It's
setting.
okay. It's okay.
The water runs don't have settings.
It's okay because you can't stoke it.
It is more fun.
So it's a rabbi?
It's okay. Okay.
Oh,
ואפילו מנוס על חתיכה אחס חי בקדש שהתחילה כבר להסבר של מותר כאילו היסה כולה חי לפי שעל ידי היסה חתיכה מסיר דייתם כל הקדר עד למוחר. Even if you only put in one raw piece into the pot that had already started to cook, it's as if the whole thing is raw because through that you're showing that you're removing your mind from it until the next day. This only applies to raw meat. It cannot be ready for the night.
Safe.
Sifches. But raw vegetables, and similar things, you're not going to leave it unless it was reaching Machmad Asur while it was still day. Even though it's raw now, it could cook for the night time, and you're not going to remove your mind from it until. Oh, and he will not remove his mind from it until the following day. That means it's not like meat, which he would remove his mind from it until the following day. He's not going to. He's going to expect it to be ready at night. Okay, so the raw thing only helps for meat. And according to Farkash, which is a logical thing, it only helps if this meat could not cook on this flame before the nighttime meal will be over. Sorry? Like a plata, correct. But a plata, you don't need it to be raw because it's a plata. But yes. Okay. So let me just address the Rambam's opinion, and then I have to get back to Daniel's question. The Rambam, I quoted him yesterday, says that raw vegetables is also good enough. Now, even though I quoted that from the Rambam yesterday, I was not absolutely correct, because that is what the Rambam says in the Pirush HaMishnayos, in his commentary on the Mishnah. But in his Mishnah Torah, he only mentions meat. He does not mention vegetables. So it seems like he changed his mind, and we would follow the Mishnah Torah, which is the halacha. On the other hand, some want to explain, I think it's the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim explains the difference between the Mishnah Torah and the Pirush HaMishnayos as follows. In the Mishnah Torah, the Rambam was talking about a pot that you leave. If you leave a pot of raw vegetables from before Shabbos, that's no good because it could get ready for the nighttime. It's no different than anything that's less than half cooked, which could be ready for the nighttime. However, in the Pirush HaMishnayos, it's talking about if you throw in a raw vegetable. That means it's a pot, it's already cooking. You come along and you throw in a raw potato. Now, why are you throwing in the raw potato? Because you want to actively show, I don't care about this for tonight. I'm putting in a raw potato. It's not going to be ready. I don't care. It could be ready, yeah, but I don't want it to be ready. I don't care about it. So even though it could be ready, but by putting that in, you're doing an act of showing that you don't care about it, and that's good enough. Similar to the opinion that we had quoted in the Beis Yosef, even though it's not the halacha, that just deciding that this dish is for the next day is good enough. Right? That's not the halacha. It has to be that it actually cannot be ready until the next day. But there is such an opinion. So the Rambam is kind of saying that as long as you do an action, you throw in a raw potato, you do some action to show that you don't want it until the next day. Anyway, it's not the halacha. It's just an interesting opinion. Yes.
Is there a ratio or quantity? Or it's just
No.
one of anything?
Even one piece. Actually, I have to share with you an amazing thing that Rav Farkash brings down from, I think it's the Meiri, who says the same lashon as the Rambam, except that there's one little makaf, there's one little line missing in the Rambam. Instead of saying yerek, it says yerech. The kuf is connected, and it's a long chaf.
Thigh.
The thigh. You can't throw in a raw vegetable. You have to throw in a raw thigh. Big difference. A big difference one little line can make. It's just a theory. We don't know if that's what the
Maybe he
Rambam
meant
meant,
the
but it's
Maybe he
possible.
tried to write a kuf. Came out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what he's saying. He's suggesting that maybe it was a mistake of the printer.
Rabbi also so writes a kuf like this.
No, he doesn't have the Rambam's Ksav Yad. I'm saying it's
No, I'm saying
printed.
Rabbi himself.
I'm just saying. Anyway, the Rambam didn't write the Pirush HaMishnayos in Hebrew. He wrote it in Arabic, translated to Hebrew. So over the generations, who knows how it happened. Anyway, okay. Now Daniel's question was, it has to be raw when Shabbos comes in. When it gets dark. Now, hopefully you're not literally throwing it in a minute before, sunset. Hopefully you're already in shul by then. And you're supposed to be Makabel Shabbos a few minutes early. Women, 18 minutes. Men, a few minutes, right? So how are you putting it in right before it gets dark? Over here, of course, it gets dark doesn't mean the 3 stars come out, because once the sun sets, it's already Shabbos. So how is this practical?
You have a cold in the bed. You have a cold. You're not going.
So it is a question. It is a question because, see, what some boys can say is that if you take in Shabbos early, then as long as you put it in before you take in Shabbos, that's good enough. Right before you take in Shabbos. It cannot be that it's cooked when you take in Shabbos. It has to be raw when you take in Shabbos. But as long as when you take in Shabbos it's raw, it's okay. If it's 18 minutes earlier, if it's an hour earlier, even an hour and 15 minutes earlier, you can take in Shabbos, that's okay.
Or mincha, and they're going right away for 1 hour.
Right, well, mincha is still before Shabbos, but I'm saying it has to be that when you take in Shabbos, which is Kabbalah Shabbos, Baruch Hu or Mizmor Shir, whatever it is, at that point it has to still be raw. And here's the svara, here's the logic for that idea. If you're going to take in Shabbos earlier, well, presumably you're going to eat earlier, and therefore the food is not going to be ready for that time when you're going to eat earlier. You understand? So that's what some poskim want to say, that it goes by your individual Shabbos. Whereas if you take it literally, that it goes by when it gets dark, so then it's not so simple to do. Although there is one point that the Mishnah Berurah makes, and that is that if it has not yet started to cook, it's still considered raw. So yesterday I said that it goes by Yatze lettuce. Once it's Yatze lettuce, it's considered to have started to cook. The Mishnah Berurah seems like it has a different definition. He doesn't explain what does it mean that it starts to cook exactly, but Rav Farkar suggests that it means in people's eyes. If you would ask a person subjectively, because this whole thing is subjective. The whole thing is, are you Masiyah Das? Do you in your mind think that it has a chance of getting ready? Or do you in your mind think, forget about it? So if people still consider it raw, even if it's already Yatze lettuce, but if a person would look at it and consider it raw, then it's considered halachically raw. If people consider it already partially cooked, that's when it becomes a problem.
Rabbi, if you take Shabbat before and it's not dark yet, you allowed to eat?
Why not? Make Kiddush, of course, after you make Kiddush.
Yeah, of course.
Why not?
You can do it before Shabbat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kiddush, Hamoitzi, Challah. The Shalah says you should have one kazayas of Challah after it gets dark. But you don't have to do the Mishnah again or anything. Sorry?
The opposite also applies. So if you're preparing children for like a dish that's going to be eaten at like 2 a.m., that's your Friday night meal?
Yeah. Goes by when you're eating. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says.
You can't do it early in the Plug of Mishnah.
Kal Shabbos now. Yeah. All right, my friends. One more seif. V'yesh oimrim. Some say shafilu tafshil shenizbash k'maychal ben rusoi. Even a cooked dish that was cooked like ben rusoi, or if it is fully cooked but it's tasting better as it cooks more. Tanu, which means, that a person, it's good for the person and he's happy that the the food is cooking more. But stomach literally means to shrivel up, but it's better. He likes that it is. We're afraid still that he's going to stoke on Shabbos to hasten the cooking. Or that it should get more, shriveled up and more dried out and tastier if that's what he wants. And according to this opinion, which is the Mechaber, which is the Rif, and the Rambam, and the Chachamim, and so on, whether it is mitztamech v'yafalei or half cooked, is the same as less than half cooked, according to Hananya. The minhag is to be lenient like the first opinion. That is the Ashkenazi minhag. All right, questions?
So how many minutes before the dark we can do the kiddush?
How many minutes before dark can we do kiddush? An hour and a quarter. But if you want to daven first, which is a good idea,
yeah, of course,
then you have to daven first. Yeah. Which also you daven after Plaga Mincha, which is an hour and a quarter before.
Do you want to do kiddush with your family?
Daven Ma'ariv? No, Ma'ariv. Do you have to daven Ma'ariv before you eat? No. You don't have to. You don't have to say Shema either because it's before Shema. You don't have to. Al Pi Kabbalah, not that I'm a big makubal, but I've heard that Al Pi Kabbalah, the correct order of Shabbos is first Ma'ariv and then the Suda. But halachically, there's no obligation.
Do Ma'ariv after?
No, on the contrary, Ma'ariv before.
Right.
I'm saying, the Rafal was asking, why do you have to daven Ma'ariv? Daven Mincha, make Kiddush, have your Suda Shabbos with your family, and then go to Shul for Kabbalah Shabbos and Ma'ariv.
How do you do that?
Well, in theory
What's
you
the
can.
problem?
In theory you can.
What's the problem? You took in Shabbos. You already daven Mincha, you're done with
How do
Friday.
you have Shabbos and Misha?
You're bringing it in with Kiddush. You're bringing Shabbos in with Kiddush. And you're having your meal, Mamash and Machaya. And then you go to daven Kabbalah Shabbos.
Wow,
it's great.
Who's going to be for this meeting?
I know some people who do it actually.
Wow.
I know some Chabadnikim that do it. In France, where it's very late.
Very
So
late.
they want to daven on
Because
time,
people will come back to
but
shul.
the Suda they do before.
No, because
Oh, didn't think about that.
That's what I'm saying.
Didn't think about that.
That's why everyone does it.
Shkia over there is like 11 at night.
Went back. All right, Daniel is asking, why wouldn't this depend on how high you put the flame? The maximum temperature of Amar ovens don't reach the heat of a tanner of those days, not the flame, I mean the heat of the stove. I don't really understand your question. This is from a while ago. Okay, nowadays, it's not about the actual temperature. It's about the oven maintaining the temperature. You could bring it up to a high temperature, but it doesn't maintain it as well. The tanner of those days maintained the temperature better. But, so that's what it is.
Our ovens don't maintain temperature? Our ovens are
No.
electronic. They're it's the exact temperature. They're self-regulating.
I understand, but they don't maintain the temperature.
They cool off
They need the constant heat to heat themselves up.
Cool off
They
very
cool down
quick.
once there's
Within less than a few
saying when
minutes.
they cool down, they cool down.
No, I'm saying they don't maintain as far as asking maintenance. Maintaining the heat. No, they don't. I'm there every day.
All right, my friends, we'll stop here. Daven Ma'ariv and continue with Hashem next week at 8 o'clock. We're trying, yeah. We're trying, by the way, to start as close as possible to 8 o'clock so that we can cover ground with Hashem's help. And I'll send out in Mitzvah Hashem a link if anybody wants to have it.
Before when it gets late.
In the rain.
And then